sometimes things don't go quite as planned. So every morning here is like Christmas morning for me, because I'll open up the kiln to see what I had put in the day before. Well, this morning I opened up the kiln to this. So my piece was slumped and it has a huge crack in it. And I think it was because my annealing wasn't long enough, seeing that this is a very large piece. So I'm still going to show you the video of how I made these beautiful little pressed elements and how I got the border on this piece. And this is going to be part 1 of the video, and I'll make a part 2 video hopefully showing how I was able to fix this crack. I didn't want the video to be too long, so we'll just go through going up to the slumping process on this video. To make our flat little discs, what I did was I used these Marini canes that I got from Wilderness Glass. It's various orange and yellows and cream colors. So I used my mosaic nippers to cut chunks about like 1/2 inch, like this, and of these various designs. And because they vary in thickness, if we cut them all the same size, they actually won't squish down to the same size, because you have, on thinner rods, you have less glass than on thicker rods. So these ones will end up wider and these ones will end up narrower, or so the theory goes. I cut a whole bunch of them and I placed them standing up on my kiln shelf, and I made sure to space them out really well, because they will, like I said, expand and you don't want them touching each other when they do. So how are these going to be pressed down? Or you're going to use a second kiln shelf. And so this one has a piece of papyrus on the bottom, but this kiln shelf has been freshly covered with kiln wash. And so that will make it so that the tops don't stick to the kiln shelf. So I'll take this shelf, turn it down to the side that has the kiln wash, and place it on top. And so as the Marini, as the glass starts to warm up, the weight of the kiln shelf will start pressing them down and squishing them into discs. So here are the pressed pieces fresh out of the kiln, and you could see I already took one off. You could see the kiln wash stuck to the tops. You see it came off completely off of the kiln shelf, and had we not done that, the pieces would have stuck to the kiln shelf instead. So on the bottom the papyrus is stuck, and on the top the kiln wash. So the bottom is going to be easy to clean off for the papyrus. Just kind of rub it off and clean it. But for the top, if you have a sandblaster, which I don't have, you could use that to get the kiln wash off. If not, then underwater, I would use these diamond pads. I would start with a 60 and work my way up to the 400. So I have 4 of them: 60, 120, 200, and 400. And you use them underwater and you scrub and scrub and scrub, and then your piece comes out nice and clean. Now it has a bit of a haze to it, and you can see its actual color if you put a bit of water on it. This is, once it's going to be fired again, this is what it will look like. but it's just because it got sanded that it looks hazy right now. And so I'm going to take all of my pieces and clean them up. So here are the pieces all clean. Unfortunately, this one broke. So a few notes. So you'll see that in the Marini that I used, it's concentric circles. So when these press down, I kind of expected to get concentric circles. Well, clearly the center circle on these is off center quite a bit. And that is probably due to the fact that my kiln, my small kiln, is not level. And I know that for a fact. The table that it's laying on is not quite level, so it tilts forward a little. So when the two pieces of kiln shelf were pressing together, instead of pressing down like this, the top one kind of shifted forward as it pressed down, so it stretched the glass forward, and that's why it's off center. You'll see it on both sides. And that's fine. It's going to be a different design than I had originally thought. I really like how these look. They look like little flames or petals or fish scales. Another note, you'll see how thin these are. If I take out my calipers, we can see that these are not even a millimeter thick. They're 0.82 millimeters. So if you are looking to make some pressed elements like these, and you were wanting them to be a specific thickness, so what you can do is, as you place your Marini on your bottom kiln shelf, on the edges, on the sides, you can add metal washers that are a specific thickness, and that will stop the top, kiln shelf from going all the way down. Like, I just let mine do its work using heat and gravity, but if you want a specific thickness, you want it to stop at a specific thickness, then add some washers on the side, and this will stop your kiln shelf from going all the way down. And a third note is, so after you scrub them, take a closer look at the pieces, and they might need more scrubbing. Like this one, I can see there's still either papyrus on it or kiln wash. I don't know if you can hear. And if it's not on the other side, then I can use the other side. But if you leave these on your elements and you fire them, either tack fuse or full fuse, they will get embedded into your piece. So you want to try to get rid of them before you do your next firing. So for the background of this piece, I'm going to be using this tangerine orange, and I'll be cutting a 9x9 square. For the foreground, I'll be using this white tecta. I ran a poll on my Instagram account asking whether I should use the white tecta or the vanilla, and the white tecta won. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, where I post more of my work, it's at gscreations_handmade. So I'm going to cut this piece 9x9 inches, and then this at 8 3/4 by 8 3/4 inches, because I like the look of the border. So by doing that, since the white will be slightly smaller than the orange, a border will show up once we stack them, and when they full fuse, that border will still be there, and I love the look of it. It's kind of becoming a signature style for me. pieces and I stack them, making sure I have a nice orange border around the white. And now I'm going to place my pressed glass. So after fiddling with them for a few minutes, this is the final placement that I want them. So as usual, I'm going to be using my trusty gel to put just a little dot behind each one so they don't move while I take them to the kiln. I'll be taking this to a full fuse. It's going to become one solid flat piece, and then we're going to slump it. Here's the piece fresh out of the kiln, and I really love how it came out. So it's full fused, so it's all flat, and we have that orange border all around. I like how abstract it looks. I think I've decided that they look like petals. So the last step is going to be to slump it. So I have this big square slumping mold. It's just going to go like so, and it's going to slump down into a large dish. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I took my piece out of the kiln after slumping, and it came out with this huge crack. I'll be making a part 2 to this video, hopefully showing how I was able to resolve this crack. Stay tuned.